What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic. And today we're going to talk some football, Houston Texans football. Today we're going to talk about the playoffs. Yes, the playoffs, the AFC playoffs, and the Texans' actual shot, realistic shot of actually making the playoffs in the 2025 NFL season, because they do actually have a real legitimate shot. And they have multiple ways to get there. We're going to talk about, we're going to break it down. But before we get in there, like I tell you before, if you're liking the content, make sure you're liking the channel. Make sure you're watching all the videos, you liking all the videos, you comment all the videos, you're sharing all the videos on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, any type of social media platform you use. Make sure you're sharing on the same social media platforms. Also, follow me on social media as well. The link in the description below. We're still trying to get this channel growing and growing and growing. I can't do that without your help. So you know what that means? That means I need you to do your part. It means I need you to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend, so then they could tell a friend, so then they could tell a friend, so then they could tell a friend, they could tell another friend, and put more game with the channel. Really, really appreciate that. Now, let's talk about it. Entering week 11, the Houston Texans only have a 23% chance of making the playoffs and then only have a 4.6% chance of winning the AFC South. This is mostly because the Texans are 4-5 entering week 11, under 500, haven't been 500 at any point this season, and also take into account how many teams are in front of them, what their record is, how many games left in the regular season, and is there enough games for the Texans to make up that ground to catch the teams that's in front of them? Now, even though these numbers do look bad, because 23 and 4% is not a good percentage a chance to make the playoffs, especially this deep into the season, even though that's the case, these numbers are not all the way accurate. And the reason why, because it doesn't take into the nuances of the teams that are in front of you, they play each other. Also, the teams in front of you, you play them. So if you handle your business, you move up, they move down, and then you also gain the tiebreaker over them, which means you have playoff priority because you beat them in the head-to-head tiebreaker. So it doesn't take into that account, and it also doesn't take into account matchups about what team match up well against this team, playing on the road, playing in bad weather, things of the point of the season when they play each other, they play in back-to-back games against these type of opponents and things like that. So it doesn't take into consideration all that. It's just numbers and data points based off of records and the schedule, exactly as far as like the schedule, how many games is left in the schedule, and is there enough time to make up the grounds, but not really go into the nuances of it. So I want to actually talk about it and break it down because I want to look at the playoff standings. I also want to look at the teams that are in front of you, the teams that are behind you, and also what the schedules look like, and see exactly what's the realistic avenue for the Texans to make the playoffs, because there's actually multiple ways for the Texans to make the playoffs realistically, not just, oh, you win out, they lose out, you make the playoffs. Like, no, realistic actual ways for these teams to make the playoffs. So like I said, when you look into the numbers, now entering week 11, Indy had the number one seed, but New England won on Thursday night, what gave them the number one seed because Indy's on the bye week. So right now, New England has the number one seed with a 9-2 record. Indy's the number 2 seed with an 8-2 record. Denver's the number 3 seed with an 8-2 record, and then Pittsburgh is the final division winner with a 5-4 record. So then when you look at the wild card, you got the Chargers with a 7-3 record. Then you have Buffalo with a 6-3 record. Then you have Jacksonville with the final wild card spot at a 5-4 record. Then outside of the playoffs, you have KC with a 5-4 record. You have Houston with a 4-5 record. Then you have Baltimore with a 4-5 record, and then you have Cincinnati with a 3-6 record. Now, just to get this out the way, Baltimore and Cincy, the only real way they're making the playoffs realistically is by winning the division, because Cincinnati has too many losses to try to get back into that wild card race, and then Baltimore's lost the tiebreaker against the Chiefs, us, and also Buffalo. So it's going to be hard for them to get back into the wild card. So their main thing is have to beat Pittsburgh. And again, none of these teams have played each other. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati haven't played each other yet. Baltimore and Cincinnati haven't played each other yet, and Baltimore and Pittsburgh haven't played each other yet. So those three teams have yet to play each other. So those teams will settle it out amongst the end of the season. So that fourth spot that's normally for the AFC South, more than likely it's going to be for the AFC North because of the way those records and those teams look. That's more than likely where that division winner is going to be at. It's going to be in that 4th seed, where normally the Houston Texans or the AFC South has been that 4th seed. It looks like this year is going to be the AFC North. But now you look at the teams, like I say, when you look at the wild card mix, you got the Chargers, Buffalo, Jacksonville. KC's on the outside looking in with the same record as Jacksonville, but remember, they lost the head-to-head tiebreaker to Jacksonville earlier this year on Monday night. So as long as they have the same record, Jacksonville has priority over KC. And the Texans are only a game back of both KC and Jacksonville. Now, luckily we tied with Jacksonville because we beat them one time. They beat us earlier. So we have to be able to do our part. They make sure we have a better AFC South record and a better conference record, so we'll be able to leapfrog them. Because as far as the head-to-head, we got that split. But KC, on the other hand, we actually match up against KC in a couple of weeks, so we have a chance to actually go out there and take care of business. So when you look at our schedule, let's go over our schedule real quick. The Houston Texans, this week we're at Tennessee. Then we host Buffalo on Thursday night. Then we're at Indy. Then we're at KC. Then we host Arizona. We host the Las Vegas Raiders. Then we're at the Chargers, which will probably be a Saturday night game. It hasn't been official yet, but we're at the Chargers. And then we end the season hosting Indy. Put a pin because I think that game hosting Indy is going to be a very, very important game. Okay, so when you look at Indy's schedule, Indy's on bye week this week. They at KC after their bye week. They host Houston. They host us. Then they at Jacksonville. They at Seattle. They host San Francisco. They host Jacksonville. And then they at Houston. When you look at Jacksonville, this week, they host the Chargers. They at Arizona. They at Tennessee. They host Indy. They host the Jets. They at Denver. They at Indy. And then they host Tennessee to end the season. Now, I wanted to look at the AFC South because, again, that's the one that we have the least amount of chance to win because we have a 4.6% chance of winning the AFC South. And, again, that's the only way the Texans ever made the playoffs was by winning the AFC South. Most of that is based off of because Indy has an 8-2 record. And the Texans have a 4-5 record. But the Texans have yet to play Indy. So, but the thing is, even the Texans beat Indy, even if they sweep Indy, that only gives Indy 2 more losses. And so the Texans, even if they win out and Indy wins every game but only loses to Houston, that still makes Indy still have a better record than Houston by one game. Even if we win out, even we don't lose no more games. But it still only makes having Indy a better record. Which, okay, so I get where that 4% comes in when you put it like that. But then, like I said, you gotta go deep into the weeds. You gotta look into the nuances. Man, they at KC, they at Jacksonville, they at Seattle, which is probably the best team in the NFC. And then they host San Francisco, which is San Francisco. You just never know what you get. You might get a good San Francisco team, you might get a bad San Francisco team. So you just never know how that San Francisco game is going to go. But there's a real reason in they final 7 games that they can go 3-4 down that stretch. Because, like I said, KC, Houston, at Jacksonville, at Seattle, San Fran, Jacksonville, Houston. They could beat Jacksonville twice in San Francisco and realistically lose to Houston. Lose to us twice, lose to KC, and lose to San Francisco. I said Seattle. That's a realistic chance. That's not because I didn't say, they can lose to Jacksonville or they can lose. No, they can beat Jacksonville. They can beat Jacksonville in both those games. They can sweep Jacksonville. They can sweep Jacksonville and they can also beat the 49ers. Are we really picking Indy to beat KC? Are we really picking Indy to beat Seattle? And again, this is all predicated off Houston handling their business by sweeping, by Houston handling their business and sweeping Indianapolis. That right there gives them 6 losses. That right there gives them 6 losses because they already got 2 on the season. That makes them 11-6 on the season. Now, for the Texans, on the flip side, the Texans can only lose 1 more game then because the Texans already had 5 losses. So the Texans can only lose 1 game. So again, and that's a tall task because you got Buffalo, you got KC, you got the Chargers, and then obviously you have to sweep Indy. So the game that you could possibly lose, you could lose to Buffalo, you could lose to KC. I think most people probably will peg and have that KC game as the game that most people have them losing. But it's not far fetched. It's not far fetched. Is it improbable? Extremely improbable. but it's not out. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility. And again, Indy could definitely go 3-4 in stretch. I actually think that 3-4 or 4-3 is more than likely where they're going to go. Like I don't think they're going to go. I don't think they'll win like 5 games out of that last. They're not. I don't think they're going 5-2 or better. They got 7 games left, so they would have to be 5-2 or better. I don't think they're going 5-2, 6-1, or 7-0 in their last 7. I think that they will lose at least 3, possibly 4 games. So I think the toughest part about that is Houston going 7-1 in their stretch. I think that's probably the more far fetched of the two. But again, it's not impossible. And then I want to just sit there and look at Jacksonville, because Jacksonville, like I said, they got the Chargers, Arizona, at Tennessee, host Indy, host the Jets, at Denver, at Indy, host Tennessee. I mean, even if they win 5, even if they go 5-3 in this even if they go 5-3 in this matchup, that still puts them under 11 games. I think 11 games is the benchmark to win this division. Normally, for the last 2 years, we won the division at 10. I think this year, because of the hot start that Indy had, I think you're going to have 11 wins. And that's where it's looking like. And again, Texans go 7-1. Indy goes 3-4. They go 5-3. The Houston wins the division. There's a real shot that in these last 8 games, Jacksonville goes 4-4. Like Jacksonville, I can see them. I can see them splitting with Indy. So that's 2. I can see them splitting with Indy. Denver, the Chargers. That's 3 losses right there. Denver, Indy, the Chargers. That's 3 losses right there. Now again, they have yet to play Tennessee, so they still got Tennessee. But again, those 3 losses, 5-3 still puts you under. As far as like 5-3 still puts the Texans, as long as they win 11 games, puts them in a bad situation. And depending on where that other loss comes from for Houston, Houston will have a better conference record than Jacksonville too. Especially if Jacksonville loses. If Jacksonville loses one of those games to Indy, and Houston handles their business again, if they beat Tennessee and then they sweep Indy, they have a better division record, because it means they only lost 1 division game against Jacksonville. Jacksonville would have lost 2 division games against Indy and against Houston if they split with Indy, just like they split with us. So that also puts you over them, even if y'all have the same record. So you have your control as far as Indy, as far as sweeping them and giving them 2 extra losses. And then also Indy and Jacksonville play each other. So even if they split against each other, like if they split against each other, that bodes well for the Texans. The Texans, we should want Jacksonville and Indy to split. We should want them both to split against each other, and then Houston, you have to handle your business against Indianapolis. Also, you got to handle your business against Tennessee tomorrow as well. But you got to handle your business against Indy mostly, and then you want Indy and you want Jacksonville to split. That right there opens up the door. Actually, right there could open the door at a 10 and not just the 11-6. That opens up the door at 10-7. That makes 10-7 a very viable option for win the AFC South. And I can realistically see that last game, Houston hosting Indianapolis, be very similar to the game CJ and D'Amico Ryan's rookie year, like rookie coaching, rookie year in the NFL. Uh, the last game of the season being for the playoffs, except this time it could be to win division, and I'd probably end up putting this on the Sunday night game instead of the Saturday night game like it was 2 years ago. But that's a realistic shot because of down the stretch. Because even though Indies had a easy schedule, it's part of the reason why they were able to rack up the 8 wins they racked up. Them losing to Pittsburgh was big, and like I said, they still have KC and Seattle. Those are really tough matchups, and if Houston handles their business, that right there is 4 losses. And if you don't, you just wait on the final game of the season. Just the next 3 games at KC, host Houston, at Jacksonville, at Seattle. 4 games. My apologies. If you win, KC wins, and Seattle wins, that gives them 5 losses. How many losses the Texans have? 5. So then all you gotta do is stay in arm's reach of them. If you have 6 losses, they got 5 losses. That last game of the season is still for the division because you would have the sweep because you would give them their last loss and you also will have the sweep ability on them. So that's why that is a very, very, very important game. Now, if you just don't think if you think the division is just completely out of reach, if you think the division is out of reach and there's no way for you to make the division, the 3 teams that are ahead of you in the playoffs because you've already beaten Jacksonville. As far as the Chargers, who are 2 games ahead of you in the standings, Buffalo. Well, the Chargers are because the Chargers haven't had their bye week yet, so technically they're 2.5 games. They're 2 games in the win they're 2 games ahead of you in the loss column, 3 games ahead of you in the win column because they played the extra game because they haven't had their bye week. So, like I said, it's 2.5 games. Buffalo, that's 2 games in front of you, and KC, that's a game in front of you. The Chargers schedule at Jacksonville, like I said, then they have their bye week. Then they host the Vegas Raiders. They host Philadelphia. They at KC. They host Dallas. I'm not saying they at KC. They at Dallas. They host Houston. They host us, and then they at Denver. The Buffalo Bills host Tampa this week. Then they at Houston. They at us. Then they at Pittsburgh. Then they host Cincinnati. They at New England, who's beaten them already. They at Philadelphia. And then they end the season off against the Jets. The Kansas City Chiefs. They host Denver this week. They at Denver this week. I'm sorry. They at Denver this week. They host Indy. They at Dallas. Host us. Host the Chargers. At Tennessee. Host Denver. At Vegas. To me, I think KC has one of the easier schedules. But again, you're only a game behind KC and you play KC. Like I was saying earlier, they don't take into account of you can beat again, if as long as you're in arm reach of KC and you go out there and beat KC, you have the tiebreaker. Same thing with Buffalo. Buffalo is hosting Tampa Bay this week, and then they at us Thursday. There's a realistic chance that when we beat that we play Buffalo, if we beat Buffalo on Thursday night, that we take Buffalo out the playoffs and we insert ourselves in. That we would get in because we would be able to be 6-5 if we beat Tennessee and we beat Buffalo and Buffalo loses to Tampa. Buffalo is 6-5, we 6-5, and we have the tiebreaker. So we have a chance to leap them. Same thing with the Chargers. Now, again, the Chargers a little bit more dicey because the Chargers do have a 3-game lead on us on the playoffs, but they got KC. They still got KC on their schedule. They got Denver on their schedule. They got Philadelphia on their schedule. And I don't think like Dallas, even if Dallas don't make the playoffs, could both Denver and KC both have Dallas left. I know Dallas and KC play on Thanksgiving. I wouldn't be surprised. Dallas can get any of these teams. Dallas has enough potent enough offense that maybe they're not going to the playoffs and things like that. They might not have the record to go to the playoffs, but Dallas can definitely go out there. And both those games are at Dallas. They both at Jerry World. They're both of those games that Dallas can walk away by beating Kansas City and beating the Chargers. So Dallas can actually do the Texans a favor by beating Chargers or beating KC. Not to mention, KC and the Chargers play each other. Like I said about Jacksonville and Indy, they play each other. So they play each other, and also, like I said, Jacksonville and the Chargers play each other. So you're gonna have games unless people get ties, which is I know earlier we seen Dallas and Green Bay get a tie early this season. We know that ties are very rare to happen in the NFL. So somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to lose. Indy and Jacksonville play each other twice. KC and KC and the Chargers play each other. Jacksonville and the Chargers play each other. Like, they're going to get some losses. So, and then they also got tough opponents too. Yeah, I know people like, well, y'all got Buffalo and y'all got KC. Right. But you know what? Indy has KC. Like Indy has KC, Indy has Seattle, KC has Denver twice. KC has Dallas. KC has Indy. KC has us. KC got the Chargers. The Chargers, they got Philadelphia. Buffalo has Philadelphia. Buffalo also has New England. Buffalo has us. Buffalo has Tampa. Jacksonville has the Chargers. Jacksonville has Denver. Like, these teams are playing against each other as well. These teams are playing against each other as well. So, it's a very realistic shot that down the stretch, in those last 7 games, the Chargers can go 3-4. The Chargers can go 3. Jacksonville, Vegas, Philly, KC, Dallas, Houston, and Denver. They can lose 4 of those games. They can lose at KC. KC and Denver both are at KC, at Denver. They could lose both those games. Yeah, they host Philly and they host us. They could lose both those games. And they at Dallas. You trying to tell me that host Philly, at KC, at Dallas, host us, at Denver, that they can't go 1-4 in those 5 games? Because literally their last 5 games. They host Philly, at KC, at Dallas, host us, at Denver. 3 of their last 4 games are on the road, at KC, at Dallas, at Denver. And then they play us. You don't sit and tell me that they can't lose 4 of those games. Those 4 games they can't go 3. They can't go 1-3-1. Like, come on, man. Like I say, I think KC has the easiest schedule. I think they can go 5-3. It only gives them 10 wins. Buffalo, can you tell me that Buffalo can't split in their last 8 games and go 4-4? Host Tampa, at Houston, at Philly, at New England. That's 4 games right there. So there is a realistic shot that the Houston Texans can be a wild card team because these teams play each other and you play them. And it's a realistic shot that you can win the division. Again, is it a stretch? Yeah, but not the way people making it seem like it's not that huge of a stretch. It's still a very, very, very realistic possibility. Now, again, the Texans put themselves in this hole by starting off the season 0-3 and then being 2-4 and then being 3-5. Like, they put themselves in this situation. And like I said, history tells you that teams start off 0-3 don't make the playoffs because they can't afford to stab their toe. Like, they have to, at worst, be 6-2 down the stretch. If they only win 5 games down the stretch, 9 games ain't getting you into the playoffs. 9 games ain't getting you to the playoffs. Unless a whole bunch of chaos has happened. But 9 games, I don't think get into the playoffs. You have to win 10 games to be in the wild card, 11 games to win the division. So 7-1, I think they'll win the division. Because I think Indy's going to lose enough games in that span for you to make up ground, especially if your one loss is not against them. Like, that's the one thing. You have to beat the teams in front of you. So you have to beat Jacksonville. You already beat Jacksonville. You have to beat Indy twice. You have to beat the Bills. You have to beat the Chargers. And, to be honest, the Chargers and KC, you could probably you could afford to lose one of those games. Preferably, you probably would want the game you actually would want to lose if you had to lose a game would be Arizona because it's an AFC game, and that way you could just go through the AFC, you win all the AFC games. That way it gives you a better conference record. But that's just being too nerdy when it comes to the actual wins and losses of it. But again, I think the Houston Texans have a legitimate shot of making the playoffs. Will they do it? They got to go out there and they got to handle the field and do what we thought they were going to be able to do going into the season. Like, we came into the season with extremely expectations of this team making the AFC Championship game, if not the Super Bowl. But that 0-3 start kind of made that look like completely not happening. But they have a shot. They have a realistic shot They gotta go out there and handle business. Like, subscribe, have a comment below. If you haven't clicked that bell, get more videos. I'll holla.